Good afternoon, Virginia here with Jenny Lee Gems. Today we are going to learn how to couch a cabochon or embed a cabochon into the center of a pine needle basket. So a lot of times we use other centers for our pine needle baskets, such as these with a, drilled holes around, or just using pine needles and wrapping them around. But today we're going to learn how to couch a cabochon for purposes of a pine needle basket. So I have couched cabochons before many times. I have a lot of beading materials because I used to do a lot of beading. And I've gathered everything together here to just give you an idea of what you need. So first of all, you're going to need some E6000 glue. You can use something else, but I find this works the best with cabochons on Lacy stiff stuff. Say that 3 times fast. Lacy stiff stuff. Lacy stiff stuff. Lacy stiff stuff. Okay, got it. E6000 glue. And I find that using either a popsicle stick or a little plastic spoon, you can see that's gotten a lot of use, helps to spread it. You're going to need some beading needles. So these are pony, size 11, and they've worked well. This size has worked well for the size of bead that I use in my beading projects. These are pony, but there's certainly other ones. You're going to need some beading thread. So this is NYMO, and I bought this quite a few years ago for my beading projects, and I purchased it at Fusion Beads. But I'm not sure if they're still online. They had a really nice business going in Seattle, but they closed down, I think, during COVID, and now I think they are still online. You will also need some wax. I mean, you don't have to, but if you're a basket maker, you probably have beeswax on hand. So I like to slide the thread through the beeswax before I use it. It just seems to go through the lacy stiff stuff better. Please excuse the banging in the background. My husband's out there working on my car. Okay, so we've got the beeswax and size 11 seed beads. Now these came from Red Door Beads. They're no longer in business, but I think you can't walk into their store. It used to be right here in Smoky Point, but I think she sells online now. Fusion beads, size 11, seed beads. And these beauties I got from a friend named Beverly that I used to work with. She gifted them to me. So I just kind of gathered up everything that I have, and just so I make sure I have everything on hand because it gets a little crazy. So the beads, size 11 seed beads, and then you need a cabochon. This happens to be labradorite, one of my favorite stones. So, and I happen to have this purple lacy stiff stuff, which you will need either cabochon or clay centers I use on these. These are cute little sugar skulls I had made in Mexico. The little gal made them for me, and then she gave me a class on working with clay, but I haven't worked with it. She made me enough that I'm still working on those. But Tea with Your Dragon has some of these that I've beaded around and made necklaces out of, if you're interested. So lacy stiff stuff for your backing or leather or, any type of material that you like to use in your beading projects. I like the lacy stiff stuff. The needles go through very easy. Okay, and the suede, you might want suede for the backing, because once you start sewing here, you're going to see this pattern on the back of your leather laces or whatever you use, and you might want to cover that up. And the best thing that I found is a nice piece of matching leather, and you'll be able to sew it on or glue it on to kind of hide that little mess you create in the back. Now, this is how this is coming out. I'm working on, this is a little moonstone. And I will be covering that with pink leather as well, or suede. So suede, leather, lacy stiff stuff, or something similar. There's different things by different names. Scissors, of course, you want to have on hand. And then a hole punch. Or here is a leather punch I happen to pick up. And it seems to work well for this lacy stiff stuff. If you're strong, it'll give it a little pop and it'll pop it right through. But it has seemed to work really well, and it just goes down in the little hole there. And using the smallest, now of course this is bigger sizes, which I might use for another project, but this is the size I'm going to use. Now you can certainly just sew directly through your suede or leather or lacy stiff stuff. Oh, that's hard to say without messing it up. But anyway, you can just try to sew through if you'd like that, or just poke a hole with a larger needle and then sew through when you're attaching your pine needles. So of course, when you get to the pine needle part, you're going to need your pine needles and 2-ply wax thread or sinew or whatever you use. At any rate, this is what I've decided to start with. I am not sure yet if I am going to couch all the way up the side like this one has been done. So see, you're really enclosing that in, and that ensures even if the glue came loose, it's not going to come out because you've sewn around it and really embedded it there around the stone. Or if I'm just going to do, I might just do one layer like this of the stones and then start making the pine needle basket around it. We'll see what's going to happen as I get further. I'm going to let the stone talk to me and tell me what it wants. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll connect up with you in a minute with the next step. Get all your goodies together and get ready. Okay, I'm back. So the first thing you want to do is cut a piece of whatever material you're going to use. This is lacy stiff stuff. So I cut it a little bit larger than the stone because we're going to want to have room around it. And I will leave a little extra room rather than cutting it as close as I did here for the necklace, because I am going to want to attach some of the pine needles around on the lacy stiff stuff. So poured out a little bit of glue on my little plastic spoon here, and I am going to put it on the back of the cabochon as opposed to putting it on the material, because I really don't want it squeaking out around the cabochon too much, because your needles get stuck in it. Your threading and your actual sewing needles get stuck on it. So I'll place that right about in the middle. Oh, I might have to move it over just a little, and I'll check to make sure. Oh, it's already really sticking, but I am going to put a little bit more. So this glue is a little bit older, so it's probably going to stick pretty darn quick. Okay, I'll just be really careful with that. So glue it on and test it. Make sure you have enough glue. Try not to get too much goo coming out the side, just enough. Make sure it's really on there nice and snug. And then we're just going to let it dry for a minute. Okay, so next what you are going to do is thread your needle. And I like to use double, so I do 2 arms length and fold it in half. Stretch it out 2 arms length, fold it in half. And then I've created just a little knot at the end. Now, these knots are so little And the thread is so thin. If you use this type of thread, this NYMO, it's Beading Thread mix. Doesn't really have a size on it, but it's just as thin as regular thread. So I've tied a knot, tangled it up here in my little stuff. Okay, I'll move it. So I tied a knot at the end, doubled it up, doubled the thread up, whatever length you want to use, and I've run it through the wax. So here's my little beeswax, and I've run it through the wax just to try to get it so it will slide through easier when I start sewing. Okay, so now basically you can see the wax falling off all over my little black mat here, and I do that for the purpose of you being able to see better on the camera. So once you get all that ready, you're gonna pick the beads you want to use, and I'm thinking, I don't know, I like these. I love these, but I don't know if there's enough to make it around. Let me just go off camera a minute and figure out what I'm gonna do. Because usually I pick my beads and I put them in a separate little bowls to use. Now maybe this black would look really, maybe I'll use the black. I think I'm gonna start with the black. Okay, let me get them ready and I'll be right back.